It's time for Chic Shit Only. Hi, everybody. It's me, Lauren Zima, and welcome to episode 2 of Chic Shit Only. Thank you so much to all of you who watched episode 1 and listened to it. You can watch the episodes on my Instagram and on YouTube, and you can listen to them wherever you get your podcasts. So if you liked it, if you loved it, if you want some more of it, as they say, not the chicest saying, I'll be honest. Let's come up with something new. If you want to give it a big whoop-de-doo, I heard somebody say whoop-de-doo on TikTok the other day. They were telling a story about their dad and how their dad said whoop-de-doo. Let's bring that phrase back. You know what I mean? Everything that's old can become new again. And I'm like, whoop-de-fkin-do. Okay? Whoop-de-fkin-do. Make it a big old whoop-de-doo. It's so versatile. I adore when a phrase can be used in a variety of ways, such as chic shit only. So please tell your friends about Chic Shit Only. Get them listening, and please do like and follow and subscribe and rate because it really does help things. It really does. So now that all of that's aside, let's get into it. This week, my guest is the incredible Dorinda Medley of The Real Housewives of New York. If you are a Bravo fan, well, I'm with you, and I'm a Bravo. Stand up and just live for it. I live for it. I breathe for it. Without it, I'd fall right over, you know? I actually, of course, have done a lot of Bachelor coverage in my career, but loved The Housewives and Bravo long before The Bachelor. I was a newer watcher to The Bachelor when I started at Entertainment Tonight. And to be honest, a big part of the reason I got into it was like covering it for work. The Housewives I've just always loved. And I will be talking about Bravo things on this podcast because big fan. Dorinda Medley affected me in a way that I think it's reality TV at its best when this happens, which is someone who's on reality TV and you love watching them, but they also touch you emotionally. You relate to them and you learn from them. That's the best type of TV character regardless. But on reality TV, I think it's harder to do because it's natural. It's got to be these people who you find. You can't just write the characters to do all those things. And Dorinda Medley is one who did that for me. I mean, the woman has given us such phrases as clap and make it nice. She made it nice, which is the title of her book, which is part of the reason I was interviewing her. I mean, is the reason I was interviewing her. So go check it out and pick it up. And it's fabulous. And she touched me because she had lost her husband. And it would have been his birthday this week. And so she paid homage to him on Instagram in a beautiful tribute post. And I lost my dad when I was in college. And, grief is painful for all, but it's different for all as well. And watching Dorinda talk about losing her husband on Real Housewives of New York really helped me understand my mom. It helped me better grasp the loss my mom was going through and made me a lot more empathetic, honestly. I was, not that I wasn't, it was just, it's hard to understand what you can't relate to at all. And at 22, I could not comprehend what it was like to lose your partner of 25 years, which is what my dad was to my mom. So Dorinda really helped me see a little glimpse into what that was and improved my relationship with my mom and my relationship with grief. And part of the reason that I wanted to talk to her about all that and about her book for you all is that her book is about much more than the housewives. It's about the relationships in her life. Dorinda was married, divorced, is a mom, lost her husband, who was her second marriage. And so she's been through the ringer in a lot of ways. And she's also had a lot of great love in her life. So she's also had incredible careers and lived all over the world. So she's like a wonderful aunt figure that I just adore. And I really was going through her book underlining things because she had so many incredible things to say. So that is coming up. And, like I said, I love a phrase. I love when somebody gives you a takeaway because that sticks with you. She once said on the show, say it, forget it, write it, regret it. And if that isn't advice, so those things will stick with you and they'll help you. And that is the interview. But first, before the interview, the prelude, the prelude, the prologue, I'm not saying those words right. No, I'm not. Gosh, my boyfriend's daughter is in, shout out to Taylor Harrison, who I love. deeply. She's in high school right now, and man, am I relearning some stuff through her. Like, I love to talk to her about her homework because I'm like, oh yeah, that's what a prologue is. We don't use these things. You don't remember them years later. And then they kind of come back to you through kids, which is amazing. She's in AP psychology right now. I'm like, Taylor, tell me all you're learning about relationships, And so I'm relearning English. But also very glad to no longer be in high school. So why am I saying all this? I'm saying because here's the prelude. I'm gonna have to look it up. To the interview. So we are getting into chic shit only. Chic or shit. Chic of the week. Let's talk about the week at large. Because part of this podcast is about me reviewing what has happened. First of all, oh my gosh, we had some stuff dropping this week. Some news we can use, okay? Some news we can booze because we are going to be brought content that we can have a cocktail to, which I appreciate. Chic. The first trailer for the new Game of Thrones prequel, that's a word I know, series, House of Dragons, dropped by HBO. Oh, if you all watch me on Roses and Rosé, you know I made some Game of Thrones references. I am like a reality TV junkie with a fantasy world geek at heart, okay? I love Game of Thrones. I love Harry Potter. I love Star Wars. I love Lord of the Rings. And not as much as some, but in a commercial, in an elevated commercial way. I'm not just going to the movies. I'm reading the books and I'm finding the Easter eggs and I'm digging deeper, but I'm not like on a level of I haven't read all the Lord of the Rings books. Some people have. All the prologues and preludes and sequels, and we need a word for the third of something because part 3, sequel has a word. Threequel? Thriquel? Thrivescent? No. Let me know in the comments below. So this show, House of Dragons, prequel to Game of Thrones, and they did not disappoint with this trailer. I was worried because there was also another Game of Thrones series in the works with Naomi Watts, and I can't believe it. Naomi Watts, big name, that show not greenlit. Got pulled. Not happening. I think it looks incredibly chic. I don't think they're going to disappoint us because obviously they are being pretty stringent with what they're choosing to greenlight if they didn't give Naomi Watts the go-ahead. So I think this one's going to be good. I can't wait. Are you into it? Do you want to watch House of Dragons? Will you be watching House of Dragons? Let me know in the comments below. Now, speaking of part of the reason that I like shows such as that, let's talk about escapism. I think it's a chic thing to be able to check out and escape a little bit. That's what movies and TV shows and, podcasts like this are for, right? And that's why I love fantasy shows, don't even get me started on Harry Potter right now. I'm going to talk about it in a minute. But I wanted to ask you guys if you are into a story and another couple of podcasts that I'm very obsessed with right now, which is the whole Elizabeth Holmes Theranos saga. Have you heard of this? The woman who started the company Theranos, she's being dubbed by some like the Bernie Madoff of our generation. She allegedly misled, if not lied to people about what her company could do. Here's what she promised. I do have an impression. Please feel free to judge. Chic or shit, my Elizabeth Holmes impression. We could take a drop of blood and change the world. And first they say you're crazy, but then they listen to what you have to say. Well, how was it? I'm not blonde, but I've thought about being her for Halloween. So Theranos, if you guys don't know, is basically she got all of this investment money from people like Rupert Murdoch with deals like Walgreens, hundreds of millions of dollars for this testing device that was allegedly going to change the face of medicine by making it so that instead of having to have like vials and vials of your blood drawn for tests, everything could be done just with a drop of blood. It never happened. From the podcast that I've listened to, which have been many, the machine could never do more than like around 12 tests. That's what they claim in their investigations. I am just obsessed with this. Two podcasts I've been listening to about it are called The Dropout and Bad Blood. The Dropout is by ABC News, I believe, and Bad Blood is by John Carreyrou, the guy who first broke the story that this was allegedly all a farce. And I'm so fascinated by it because I've realized it's so escapist from my life. Like, I do entertainment news for a living. So sometimes watching movies and TV shows is just like so part of the work. Look at me. I'm over here freaking escaping with financial scandals. Who would have thought? I certainly don't understand all the financial ins and outs of it, but I'm like, where'd those hundreds of millions go? She said she had a $140 million deal with Walgreens. Yeah, where did it go? She was flying on private planes, you know? Yeah, no, they found emails. They found text messages. They're looking at all of her documentation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm like, yeah, no shit. So here's who was on her board. And escapism can mean things for so different things for all of us, right? Like for me, I've noticed that a lot of my friends, they'll text me because they want to like talk about something in entertainment news, and I'm happy to do it. But sometimes I'm so deep in it that I'm like 10 steps ahead of where they've even started to look, because it's not their world. This is my world. So my world, escapism for me, what's the opposite of entertainment news? Financial news. It really is. Politics, not so much, because politics is actually, I would argue, more dramatic than entertainment news a lot of the time. But financial news, not always. Well, guess what? I've been gifted with a financial scandal, and it's horrible. Many of the things that she, the situations she put people in, I'm not making light of it. I'm just saying, I'm diving in. You know, it's like we all have to acknowledge that we obviously like to escape with some crime and murder podcasts. We have to acknowledge the darkness of that. We have to look at ourselves in the mirror and say, why do you enjoy listening to this content? Why is it? I might book someone on the podcast to help me understand that. Like, why are we escaping with this? Sometimes I've thought to myself, is it because if I'm in a stressful situation, on some level, am I listening to it and I'm like, not as bad as they've got it. I know how dark that sounds. All right, a different kind of escapism. We are giving a Chic shout out. Chic shit only is always found in the form of fall. Oh, everybody, it's fall. It's spooky season. We are here in October, and I couldn't be feeling happier about it. Granted, you know, I walk outside in California, not that I'm complaining, but it is a cool 100 degrees. You know, and I don't see a red or an orange leaf in sight. Yeah, none to be found. So I'm not really feeling the fall in terms of the weather that's all around me, but I'm used to that. So I get into the fall mood by going to, a place that absolutely defines escapism. Marshall's or TJ Maxx or Home Goods. I love them all. Where is the first place that you all go in order to feel the spooky vibes? That's where I go. I head right over to Marshall's, TJ Maxx, Home Goods. They are so great about putting the festive stuff right at the front of the store when you go in. You're going to see, some little figurines of skulls. You're going to see some like fun witches to like plant in your yard and like be decorative. You're going to see the signs that say hello fall. And I don't like when stuff's written on stuff. I don't like that. It's too obvious, but I do believe in the accoutrements. And I just go in there and I smell the candles. That's a big part of it. All of your senses will be pleased. I can spend hours in the candle and the soap aisles of those stores. And they've got the fall scents right now. The pumpkin spice, the apple cider, the pumpkin latte if they're feeling specific. And that's exactly what I need. It's just a way to escape a chapter. Right? Like we're currently in one chapter, and nature, and by nature, I mean Marshall's, TJ Maxx, Home Goods in my case, is giving us a new chapter, a new beginning. And it's hard for me to concentrate when we start to get into fall and the holidays. I will admit, like I just want to watch Harry Potter all day. I've got my headphones in. I'm walking around and people are like, what's she listening to? The Harry Potter soundtrack. do 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 do. I will listen right to it. I will get into it. That or musical theater. I've taken to listening to musical theater shows on my way to work in the morning. Really a way to like pump you up for the day, because there's always a song in every show that's like about resurgence and like getting it together and like this is the character moving forward. And I'm like, yes, I want to move forward in my day. I'm the character. I'm never the main character. I'm not. I'm usually the funny friend, but I'm okay with that. I like it. It's a fun place to be. Where's the origin story for the funny friend? That's a rom-com I might write. I've been thinking about writing. I used to do it and I'm going to get into it again. Okay, so it's fall. It's spooky season. What are the ways that you all enjoy the fall? Let me know in the comments below. It's very much begins with candles for me and Harry Potter. And I am debating doing a third re-listen to the books, like the third re-listen I've done like the past year. It's the time. 'Tis this season, everybody. So we are feeling chic with our escapism, chic with our new shows, chic with the new chapter of the fall season. But we do got to get into some shit, okay? Instagram, down this week. One segment we're doing on this podcast, chic or shit, a hot take, a debate. A lot of people thought it was shit. A lot of people said, where's Instagram? What am I doing? The funny jokes were flying left and right. I gotta say, chic. I'm okay with Instagram being gone for a day. It could be gone for longer. Like, have you all noticed, have you seen your friends starting to do these mental health breaks? They're like, I got to take a mental health break. FYI, I'm tweeting this out. I'll be off Facebook and Instagram for a while. Why do we need to do that? If you all have not watched the documentary, The Social Dilemma, go do it. It is very much about how there is a chemical addiction that we have to social media and how harmful it is. I got to be honest, I wouldn't use Instagram if it wasn't like a great way to connect with you all. I don't feel great. You know, when I'm done scrolling through Instagram, I don't feel good. I don't feel better. And if we're all having to take breaks from it, that's like saying, okay, I got to do like a sober January. You know, think about, they're one and the same. Instagram and alcohol. They're not. I'm not saying that, but there's a connection. Okay. In my opinion. I thought it was chic that Instagram was down, and I'm not, I don't mean like, I'm sure it was hellacious for the people who worked there, but I'm okay with us taking a break. And I kind of think we could all use more breaks. And I wish that it was all more regulated. I really do, especially for teenagers, for kids. You know, when I was young, we had DARE, which I feel like stood for Drug Abuse Resistance Education. Let's look it up. I don't know if they do DARE in schools anymore, but I think we got to teach our kids how to use social media and how to. And now we are going to do a segment finishing up our prologitude sequel called Chic of the Week and Shit of the Week. Our Chic of the Week goes to, it happened basically 1 week ago today of this podcast coming out. The Free Britney movement. Oh my gosh, you guys. For Entertainment Tonight, I have been at the past, I don't know how many, Britney Spears conservatorship hearings. I've gotten to know the Free Britney folks a little bit. And I am just in awe of their drive, of their passion. And I am so glad to see that Britney Spears, who, if you missed it, is now free on some level from her father, Jamie, as her conservator. He has been suspended from her conservatorship. She acknowledged that the Free Britney movement, that the fans were so incredibly important in making that happen for her. Hats off, Chic of the Week to the Free Britney protesters. They took so much time. They were just fans, you know, and people called them crazy. And it turns out not only were they like right about a lot of the Britney stuff, it was in some ways I found once I heard Britney speak in court, even worse than we thought it could have been. So cheers to them. I have a coffee with me right now, a coffee with oat milk in it. And that's a beautiful thing to cheers with. Okay. My shit of the week, conversely, Jamie Spears. It had to be said. It had to be said. That man, you know, his lawyers have always argued that Jamie has just been trying to put his daughter first and be the best conservator and that his job wasn't easy. I'm not saying it was. But when you hear some of the stuff that's come out, some of the allegations, and when we have all learned that Britney never wanted, seemingly, her father to be the conservator, what are we doing? You know, this man needs to be held accountable for the way that he interacted with this conservatorship. And I am saying that in like the lightest way possible. I'm pouring sunshine on what has happened here. So Britney Spears, she is free of Jamie, and we just want Britney to be happy and healthy and enjoy her life. She deserves it. And Jamie Spears, I want that lawyer, Britney's lawyer told me he's going to investigate things, and I want the truth to come out. I really do. So Chic of the Week, Shit of the Week. This saga is not totally over, but what a massive step for Britney. And the lawyer told me he wants her conservatorship to be ended entirely. We'll see what happens. What do you think of it all? Let me know in the comments below. And now, speaking of relationships and how to navigate them all, I am going to return with my guest, Dorinda Medley.
I've been saying it for months, and I don't have to say it anymore. What are we doing here without Dorinda? She is here, Dorinda Medley. Oh my gosh.
In the house.
In the house, not in the Berkshires.
Not in Bluestone Manor, unfortunately, as I promised, but
you were supposed to be there.
House.
But it was a hurricane.
I left my apartment on the Upper East Side at one time. I thought, okay, Amtrak is canceled, Metro North is closed, the whole city's underwater. And I got in an Uber at 10:20 to go to the Berkshires. And all I can tell you is I came back through my door on the Upper East Side at 7:18. I had found out everything about an Uber driver that I do and don't want to know. At one point, he said we were going to have to spend the night. So I don't know. It was just all going like, I don't know if I can take you home because we couldn't get back into the city. I was so disgusted and beside myself that I had a half of a jar of olives left. I basically took the vodka bottle, poured the vodka inside the olive jar, put some ice and swirled it with a fork. It was so really not making it nice in my normal style, but I just was disgusted.
Well, you know what your incredible, successful book is about? It's called Make It Nice, but it's also about making it through. This book expands on the phrase, make it nice, in the most beautiful, incredible Dorinda Medley advice-giving ways. I mean, I wrote down here, Dorinda, that you say in the book what you want to do is light the way for people. And that is exactly what you do. I've always loved you. I mean, one of my absolute favorite housewives because you brought such depth to the show. And that's what this book does. So everybody go get it. And it's already a huge success, but go get it if you don't have it.
Well, you've always been such, we hit it off right from the beginning. Don't you feel that way? We kind of just connected, and
I just understood.
We've had some real off, camera talks and about serious things, and you get it because you're that kind of woman. You get it. You love your family. You're connected to your family. You've suffered, through having a death in your family. You are a hard worker, and you're very relatable.
What you talk a lot about is turning failures into successes, and everybody's at a point right now where like they have been put on pause or suffered loss in this past year. And that was kind of the reason you even started writing the book, right?
Well,
because you were put on pause.
As the world knows, I was put on pause. The new word for, I don't know, what is it? The new word for.
I love it. It's very chic.
Everyone else be putting out a mug that says pause. So whenever you're not sure what you want, like we could use it for so many things now. We could say to someone, you know what? I just want to put this relationship on pause.
It's a beautiful rebranding.
Yeah. I'm not really going to make it to the dinner tonight. I think I'll take a pause on that. It's such a good new word because it's so gentle, right?
Well, but the thing is, Dorinda, but I don't think everybody gets put on pause. I mean, we've seen women told not just pause, but fast forward and goodbye. And the film has reached an end on their time on Housewives. You were put on pause, right? I mean, that's what Andy said.
Well, because I have a good relationship with Bravo and I have a good relationship with Andy. And, again, here we go. What my mother said to me the day, of course, I was like, okay, Andy. And of course, I went home to my mother who had the miracle gloves on. She was washing the dishes as she seems to be doing 24 hours a day. I don't know how. She only lives with my 90-year-old father and they barely eat. They eat like gingerbread men now. But she said, if you know now what you're going to know then, you'll write them a thank you note. Because I was like, I can't believe I can't. Because to the whole world, I'm like, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I'll pick up my wares. I'll be just fine because I'm not I'm sort of onward and upward. I went home and bawled at the kitchen table. And it is amazing how I was put on pause. The world was put on pause or was in pause. We were all like a bunch of toothpicks in an ocean, weren't we? Like every day during quarantine, you're like, what? Where should I? I mean, I had days, I don't know about you during quarantine, where I was like, I'm going to do this. Let's go get him.
Yes.
And then there was other days.
It was one extreme or the other. Or you're like, I have nothing to go on for.
Create. Let's start new businesses. I'm going to be a poet. And I found myself back at Bluestone Manor, which was, in the town where I grew up. And it just all worked out to take this journey up about myself from the beginning to where I got here. And I literally thought to myself, I'm going to have a conversation. I want this book to be as if I'm sitting in your living room at a cocktail party, one of my favorite places to be, and have someone say, tell me about yourself from the beginning.
And I just need to show you. Everybody get this book. I'm underlining things in this book. I'm dog-earing this book because you've had loves, you've lost love, you've built careers for yourself, you've built homes, you've lived in countries all over the world. It's just great life experience. And, I was also thinking again, not every housewife would take that pause and turn it into what you have and turn it into a book you seem in a better place. Do you feel in a better place now than the pause moment? What was your emotional reaction when you got the call?
I was heartbroken because, no one likes to be rejected. All these women can be like, oh no, it was my choice. It was this. But, I am sort of in it to win it in all things. And I consider myself a good team player. So, and I knew I had a bad year the year before, but, I thought it was housewifery. And I thought, we'll just then have a good year.
Can we talk about, can we pause really a quick second and talk about that? Dorinda? Pause. This is our rebrand of Pause. I was shocked. I think all the fans were shocked because I didn't understand it. I really didn't. Maybe it wasn't your best year ever, but you still brought incredible content to the show. And to me, you'd not done anything or said anything that warranted it. Did you ever ask why?
No, because you know what? I remember, Andy, who, I still have a great relationship with. And I remember him saying to me something like, I think he even said something, I can't remember exactly, because I was sort of like, what? I just want to call my mom. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, I just want to call my mom. Thank you, Andy. I just wanted to get off because I'm like that. It's a funny thing. I'm very strong and I will stand up for myself, but I actually don't like to be put in bad situations. I'm an avoider. In that way, I would rather not.
Well, who is?
Yeah, right. People think on the show, I'm always so good at it, but really at the end of the day, I'm like, either throw money at it to make it go away or just hide. That's sort of my theory when I get into bad situations.
Excellent options.
I think they kind of put me on pause because they know at the end of the day that they didn't want me to disappear. And I think maybe they were watching to see what I would do with it. There's something beautiful about the Phoenix and the rising. Right?
I mean, God, I am totally seeing that, and I hope that's the case.
And look at how many things have grown for me. I am, as you know, very spiritual. I think that I remember a beautiful story when Richard was sick, and he was just at the beginning of. I was realizing this was real sick, not like sick you go to the hospital and come home and live. And I was in Washington for something. And I woke up really early one morning and I thought, I just need to go to church. I don't care what church. I'm just going to go to any church that's open because I just need that peace. I'm starting to get freaked out. It's too much. And I ended up in a Baptist church, which I'd never been to in my life. And I totally embraced, totally different experience. Warm, and I ended up really afterwards. It's a preacher, right, that teaches, and the preacher that teaches that gave the sermon, and he just caught my eye, and it's as if he knew me. And I had this moment where afterwards he said, "Could you come and talk to me? It's a true story." And I was like, "What?" You know what I mean? Because I'm like, maybe I'm not allowed to be here. I don't know. So I'm thinking, So he called me aside. He said, "Whatever you're going through." He said, it's sometimes God puts you on the wrong side of the mountain and there's no sun and there's lots of rain, and you struggle. But my God, when you get to the top, how beautiful it is. And then you get to go down the other side. And I remember holding on to that because I felt like that. I felt like I was just getting pummeled everywhere I looked. And then when you go down the other side, you get to enjoy it with a different set of eyes. And I don't think I would have grown as much as I have this year. I had a beautiful opportunity to not have to worry about filming during COVID. I got to spend a tremendous amount of time with my three favorite people, my parents and my daughter. I got to enjoy Bluestone Manor. I got to write a book, which was much harder than I thought it would be. So I don't know if I would have taken on that adventure if I was struggling to film. I had a partnership with Nutrisystem. I created a Bluestone Manor bourbon. I created a beautiful Bluestone Manor candle. Like, it became very creative.
Mm-hmm. So when you're stuck in the cycle of Housewives, you don't have time to step back and look at what else could I be doing. Well, it's all you talk in the book. It's all Housewives.
In order to be a good housewife, you have to eat it, sleep it, drink it. You know, it's like being an NBA football player. You're in it.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask, I remember, I don't think they put her on pause, but there was one season where I think they demoted Luann to a friend of. Did you talk at all to Luann about, and I remember thinking that was good for her. Did you talk at all? Like, what were the conversations with the other women like about you being put on pause?
Well, I didn't really. I think, people were a little bit stunned. Everybody was a little bit stunned and they didn't know how to handle it. It was almost like a death. Like,
I was going to say grief. Yeah. They don't know what to say. Who have you stayed in touch with, even though you went back to Bluestone?
I stay in touch with Luann. I stay in touch with Leah. I haven't so much stayed in touch with Sonia, not because there's any problems, just because she's been traveling and she's
never know where she is. Where is that woman?
Yeah. She's been in all these hotels and things. So we text. I didn't have an opportunity to meet Ebony, but as she said on Watch Out Live, I gave her, good luck with the season. And not Ramona, sadly. Ramona and I are not speaking.
Why?
Because we just didn't, I don't know. We just had I don't know. It just turned it's so funny because I didn't come out of this season thinking that would be the relationship that didn't last, but it didn't. Which is quite sad because, listen, outside of the show, we've known each other for 25 years and our children went to the same school. So but you never know, that could change.
One thing the show has made me realize, I learned so much from all of you. I've told you this, looking up to you as women, because it's, I always say it's not really about age, it's about experience, but it's impossible at a certain age to have the experience of friendships of decades. And so I think one thing the show's made me realize is, like romantic relationships, friendships have ebbs and flows when you've been friends with somebody for that long. So it sounds like there could be a future for you and Ramona.
Yeah. I mean, I never say never. Our friendship was much bigger than the show. I mean, the show was 6 years. Things change, people change. But listen, in the same way, everything has a beginning, a middle, and an end. And sometimes you realize, especially I've had this during COVID, there's just a lot of people that I tolerated before COVID that it's not that I dislike them more, whatever. We're just not of like mind. And I'm kind of coming back in the world thinking, I don't really want to do that anymore. I just don't.
We have friendships for reasons and seasons. Mm-hmm.
That's exactly right. And, I think at this point, if we're not growing from each other, we don't have the kind of same thought process and your, value for each other. I don't know if I want to waste my time on it. And if you remember back in the beginning of the season, we're at the winery in the Hamptons. And I think I say I'm very vulnerable right now. I'm going through a terrible time. And whatever they call it, you can't blame it on editing, you can't blame it on this, but it just wasn't picked up. It wasn't radar. But again, that's a great, my mom, the great Diane Sincala, I call her Buddha in a girdle. She says, everybody has to hang on the cross. None of us get away from that. Everybody has their time when they have to climb on that cross and hang. My mother said, that's not what's important during the time. That's not what's important. What's important to see who comes to visit you and nurture you and who comes to burn the cross.
Oh,
and there are people when you're going through a hard time that use it not to, like, I hope that my friendship, the thing that they value about me is I'm a better friend during hard times. I don't use that vulnerability in their lives to sort of one up them. And, I just think you learn a lot about someone that's there for the good times, but not for the bad. What's the old saying? It's easy to stop by at my house when I have steak, but will you stop by when I have bread and water?
Well, Dorinda, who didn't stop by?
I don't know. Who do you think?
Who burned the cross? Well, it sounds like Ramona because you're not speaking. So I'm just doing math here.
I just was going through a terrible time. And, I feel like, and I'm sure this is going to send everybody out a tizzy now on the podcast. But, I feel like when she was going through a terrible time, that really, but I'm very good with that. Like, I'm very good. That side of me kicks in, you can come sleep on my couch. You can come sleep in my bed. I'm sort of come one, come all on the Statue of Liberty. If people just come on.
Come to Bluestone Manor.
There's enough room. Just grab a blanket. We're good.
You got some criticism for your treatment of Tinsley. Would you change anything about that?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't have been as harsh, but you got to remember, I knew the relationship, and what came of it. What I was trying to do is a cautionary tale, and as it didn't end as well as I think she would have wanted it to end, right? I'm going to give myself no, it just, and it wasn't a healthy relationship. And I was frustrated, I think, by the fact that everybody was sort of pretending it was, knowing what they knew.
You've just hit the nail on the head of something I wanted to ask you about, which is I wrote down, how did you pick such great men? And I mean,
you have a great man.
I do have a great man.
I love your Instagram. It just shines through. You're a great couple together. You're of like minds.
We're in sync on things. You talk about you and Richard.
Meet him?
Interviewing him.
Oh, that's right.
They say don't shit where you eat.
I keep forgetting you're a TV person because I'm talking to you like you're just my friend. That's right. You're recording all this.
Dorinda.
Sorry.
You're too comfortable with the cameras. No, just kidding. It so makes you great. But no, look, I mean, similarly to you, I was married and divorced. And then now I feel like I found the great guy, but you had a great guy the first time too. I mean, you write about how, you and Ralph were so incredibly amicable that you weren't even too worried about getting legally divorced.
No. And
how did you do that?
He wrote me the most beautiful text I sent them the book, the most beautiful text. And I read it to Hannah. And it is such a tribute to, to be able to say, it's such a wonderful gift to be able to say that, we didn't dispose of each other. I think so often because people get divorced or it doesn't work out, which is, I think, more of an American thing, if I can say that, because in Europe, a lot of people get divorced, but they stay very close. Like, I've been to endless dinner parties where the woman's like, "Ew, this is my first husband, and this is his new wife, Cassie." I'm like, how's that work? You know what I mean? Like, I never
build bridges, don't burn them.
Yeah. And, we had this child and she was our focus, and he's a good person. So, people that are good people in the beginning, and they should be good people in the end when it doesn't work out. You marry an asshole, you'll end up with an asshole, right?
Oh God, write that down. I'm writing that. It's just simple but true, Dorinda. Gosh. Well, because you had this relationship with Ralph, Hannah's father. You guys
have it still.
And he was, I know, close
Ralph was even part of my quarantine. Come on in. Sure.
All are welcome.
A sandwich? Hannah's upstairs.
I mean, you make it nice in every aspect of your life. You do. And that's why the title of the book is so perfect.
Me, talk to Hannah. I'm not always that way, but I have my days.
Well, you have this great relationship with Ralph. You had an incredible love story with Richard.
Yes.
And one thing it made me, wonder was, because you also write in the book several times, you give the advice that you can't change people. So how did I think it's the hardest thing to do in a relationship because, for example, you do maybe meet someone in their 40s and life has helped them grow and maybe they're a bit different in their 60s or something, So how do you choose the right people knowing that you can't change people, as you say? How do you navigate that?
Well, you have to that's a great question. And, you have to decide. And it happened with Richard because we had a blended family and it wasn't always perfect, but you have to decide how much of what can you deal with? Where are you willing to shift a little to the right and they shift a little to the left? And it's not always perfect, but you're constantly working on it. And relationships aren't about perfection. Believe me, there were days where I was like, I can't stand you. Because we all go through that, right? But we worked through it. And at the end of the day, our core value system was the same. And we had sort of this, my mother always said to me, find someone that has like hobbies. If you have good hobbies with your relationship, you'll probably stay together a long time. And it's true. You see these couples that are tennis people or golf people. You know what I mean? You know those people?
Yeah. Well, it's so true. I think we all get a little bit sidetracked by that phrase, opposites attract. And I made those mistakes in relationships when I was younger. And now I realize, no, you want somebody who has the same core values from you as you and who likes to do the same things because you want to enjoy life together because life's short.
And I think the thing that's great is and we all know at that moment when I think this is what happened with Ralph. I wasn't looking for another husband. I had a young daughter. I was really about just getting her, my whole thing was I got divorced, not Hannah. So I don't want to change the environment. And Ralph literally had a key to our apartment. So Ralph was in the apartment all the time. We didn't have a schedule. And I just liked the rhythm. I was very frightened of that sort of another male energy around my daughter, that alpha, because I could see in other relationships how that would change the relationship between the mother and the daughter. And I didn't want any of that. And I really did have a golden rule. And you can ask Hannah, no one slept at my house. Never. So I'm not saying I didn't sneak out every once in a while when she was with her father. Okay. I was an angel. Okay. But she never knew it. You know what I mean? As far as she was concerned, it was consistent. But the thing where Richard was very smart with me is that, I thought I was catching him, but he was really catching me. It was a funny thing. Before you knew it, it was just funny because I was doing everything to show him how independent I was and how I was never. And I remember one day at the Stanhope, I said to him, you're never going to sleep over the house. So we're just going to get that straight right now. You'll never sleep in my apartment. You do know that. I'll never forget it. We were at the Stanhope. And he was like, well, that's okay, Miss Lynch, because one day I'm going to be waking up to you every day. And I just thought, wait a second.
How did he just twist that?
You are one cocky bastard, but I like it. I like where you're going with this, sir.
Somehow he one-upped it.
Patience. And before you know it, I thought I was running the show. And before you know it, I was in the back seat and he was running the show.
But that's what you needed. You needed somebody who was going to be clever like that.
I was running along and I was like, I'm running faster. I'm the best. I'm running. All of a sudden I looked to the left and he was just running next to me. I'm like, well, that works. So let's just keep running together. And it was just like that. And I think that's when it's kind of seamless a little bit. There's no awkwardness. There's no over negotiating. There's no changing. There's no having to be a different person. I didn't have to alter my motherhood a single bit. In fact, he enhanced it. And that was my biggest thing. I do this with Hannah. I used to lay out all these things. I do that to the point where I never got rid of this apartment that I'm back in now. And I said to him at one point, once we get married, I'm still going to spend weekends. I'm still going to take Hannah back to the apartment and spend a weekend with us. He's like, just leave all the furniture, leave everything there. You want to go do a girls' weekend with your daughter at the apartment? Go. So, and consequently, it barely ever happened. But if he had said no, I'd be like, well, I'm going right now. That's what I'm doing.
It's just that simple thing of
me.
But it should be easy. As you just said, I think when we're young, again, we hear a lot, relationships take work. And then I found myself getting confused by, I'd be in a difficult relationship and I'd think, well, everybody says they take work. No. Relationships might take work, but they shouldn't be work.
No, that's exactly right. Listen, you have to, because monotony, I think the worst thing for relationships is to get lazy and monotonous. When you just don't keep, so Richard and I did a really great thing. The first Wednesday of every month, we would do a staycation in New York City. And Wednesdays, he would leave on Wednesday mornings and he'd say to me, I'm going to tell you at 3:00 where to meet me. And he would book somewhere crazy in New York. And we'd pretend like we were in visitors in New York. And it really was fun because, we would go out, we'd be that person, we'd have great sex. You know what I mean? Because you could be a different person again, right?
He was
the monotony of life of brushing your teeth and blah, blah, blah.
You got to do this. Here's our schedule.
Do this and eating dinner and all. It kind of got once a month. You kind of became.
I'm going to do that, Dorinda.
Yeah,
right, that's another thing I write down. By the way, I also want you to come back on TV because I feel robbed of not seeing you dating again. But I'm wondering where you're at with that because you and John, and I know you still maintain a beautiful relationship with John, as you always do.
I just saw him for his birthday.
So are you going to start dating again? And could we see that on TV?
I joined this thing called The League. Do you know The League?
Is this a dating app?
Yeah, it's called The League. It's like some, members only kind of, I
Oh.
don't know. They reached out to me and I joined, and it's a really great app. It's very vetted. I'm just not fully in the city yet. And I just can't seem to get my head around it. Like, I'm so good on the texting because you're like, oh, they'll be like, oh, it's happy hour. And Josh from, the Upper East Side is interested in your profile. And I'm like, well, damn.
Why wouldn't he be? And why wouldn't he be?
So I'll be like, hi, Josh, nice to meet you. And I'll go through the whole thing. And then they're like, do you want to meet for dinner next week? I'm like, not really. Because I just can't get
you're like,
there.
I'm out at the Berkshires.
Well, yeah, because I have to get back in, I think this fall. But yes, I'm very open to it. Yeah, why not? Why not?
So have you been watching this season of New York?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to say what I'm going to say.
They lost a really great character, and that was New York City. Okay.
Dorinda, that's what I was going to say. I feel like the show, and I do think it was because of the pandemic, obviously, in huge part.
Yeah.
It's a lot of, we're on buses. We're not living in the city. The women aren't dating. And I do wonder how much the pandemic had to do with that. I miss the dating.
Think about it. Unlike any other franchise, and they went out there and did it, which wasn't easy to film during COVID. I would have found that difficult. Okay. City was empty. You got to remember, unlike any other franchise where people have big houses and huge backyards and husbands and families and all this, we play in New York, live in New York, eat in New York. New York is a character. So we are pedestrian livers in New York. So
it is your backyard.
Yeah. Think about the scenes of us in New York, in the park, on the sidewalk, in bars. So when you take this beautiful character out, that was tough.
So is there anything you would have done differently for this season?
I think the only thing I think I would have encouraged, that I think could have been a help, I would have had them stay at Bluestone Manor more. Like, I would have done like a whole week, like instead of just back and forth to the Hamptons. I think we could have maybe padded it out a bit if we'd done like a huge Halloween, because I decorated like crazy. We did a huge Christmas, and we kind of got, that kind of maybe would have helped to satiate the audience a little more, because people love all that. And I do think they miss Bluestone Manor a lot because it just brings joy.
Dorinda, I mean, there's never been a response like the response of, what are we doing here without Dorinda on this season of The Real Housewives of New York City? Everybody says it. Every Bravo fan account who I follow and who I message with, we're all like, you know what would have made this season better? Dorinda Medley. What are we doing here without Dorinda? Nobody knows. It doesn't, I mean, I'm just giving you my review. First of all, there's not enough women. I don't think 5's enough women.
No.
And you know who would have been a great 6th? You. I thought of Sonia a lot while I was reading your book, Make It Nice, because I've always sort of thought about you and Sonia in sort of parallel ways, because you've both talked about like loss on the show. And there was that issue where, sometimes she would say her, her divorce, and you're like, divorce is not a death. Mm-hmm. And I suppose what I thought about, and I love Sonia, is like, I kind of almost wanted Sonia to read your book and be like, what growth can she get out of it? I don't know. It made me wonder, if you talked to Sonia, what kind of place do you think she's in? Because a lot of this season has been them, criticism of Sonia.
Well, the problem is I love Sonia. Sonia's a great character. She's got a big heart. She really does. I haven't really talked to her this year. She's just been sort of, I think I don't even know if she's been in New York. Every time you see her Instagram, she's in a different place. And, I think for me, that was been very helpful is that I think that you got to just be in the present. Because, whenever I go down, and I've gone down that road where at the past, and we tend to do it as women, we sugarcoat what was, we talk about the past, we talk about what was, and we don't talk about what could be. And that's a really, I see it all the time on the Upper East Side, these women that are still living as Mrs. So-and-so, but they were divorced 15 years ago, and they still got on the shoes from Palm Beach. They got with their husband. And it makes me sad, because there's so much life to live, and things change so quickly. And, for God's sakes, you could be covering a marriage. I could be that crazy woman at 80 that gets married again. You just don't know, but you have to open yourself up. Yeah, you open yourself up, it's amazing how many things. The past is really different. The past is a really tricky anchor. And I've done it. Believe me, I've had nights where I'm like, I just want Reggie to go back. You know, I like me. You know, and I have to just snap out of it because that which you can't change, don't dwell on. You know what I mean?
Well, you had a beautiful life. And I think that is where people get caught in the anchor of the past, is when it was a good anchor, you know, and
Yes.
it's easier to move on when you're like, I'm leaving this crap behind.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's true. And I think also true, you know, not that I did, but you know, everybody does it. You tend to candy coat as time goes on.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, as far as I'm concerned, Richard would be thrilled because he's basically like an icon in the world
saint.
now.
Yes.
Yeah, he's a saint. And he wasn't always a saint. Believe me, one day I threw a plate of spaghetti at him because he would stop talking. I was like, that's a true story. And you know what he did? He just looked at me. He said, I guess we're having spaghetti tonight. I was like,
and he turned it on you. That's what he did.
I went, because he said something really cheeky and it just pissed me off. You know what I mean?
Oh, God.
But there's none of that anymore. Now he's an icon.
He is.
Yeah.
Well, I know you have another interview to get to, so I'm going to let you go soon, but there's again, so many nuggets in this book. Make it nice. Get it now. Everywhere books are sold. You also did the audiobook yourself.
And the audio is in my voice.
You wanted to make it a conversation. It's the perfect book for people right now. You say at one point, I think it's in the first few pages, you say we endure more than we think we can. We can endure more than we think, which is so incredible and true.
Isn't that true though? You know, if I was going to take, someone said, what is your takeaway from it after doing it? It's God, you know, I'm much stronger than I remembered myself being. Like, it's amazing if you put your mind to it, you really can endure a lot of stuff and you can wiggle your way through it. Like, you know, if you just keep moving forward.
You say at one point in the book, wash your face and take a walk.
Wash your face. Exactly. But it is that simple. Wash your face.
It's that simple. Here's what we've learned today. Pause, wash your face, take a walk, and don't marry assholes, which is incredible advice, Dorinda. It's just top to bottom perfect. Are you open to doing Real Housewives of New York again?
Why not?
Are we going to see you on some kind of all-stars show?
I don't know. Why? No, that's a rumor that is circulating, and I don't see anybody that's confirmed or denied it in that sense. What would you like to see?
I want both. I absolutely want both. I want to end asking you a personal question.
Go ahead.
What would Richard think of where you are now?
You know, you're going to make me cry.
I'm sorry. I just know you.
I think Richard would be totally surprised I wrote a book because he thought I talked too much to write a book. He told me I can't keep my mouth shut enough to write a book, and I like people too much. And I think my dad said it to me the other day. He said, you know that Mr. Medley's very proud of you, Dorinda. She said, we're proud of you, but you know he's so proud of how you went forth and you prospered.
I'm sorry.
It's 10 years past this year.
This year.
And like grief, I said to someone the other day, you know, you suffer it forever. They said, what happens to you? I said, it doesn't get smaller. You just get bigger. Right? It's still there. But you get bigger. So you know.
And you have, Dorinda Medley, you have written a book. You were in Vogue twice. Including for promoting this book. You have become a television star. You have done all those things. And I can't imagine how proud he would be of you. And I am also so impressed by how you've continued his memory in so many ways and helped him live on. And you're just an inspiration. So again, I can't even tell everybody how the earmarks on this book, the things I've underlined in this book, everybody needs to Make It Nice. It's going to change your life. And Dorinda Medley, you are lighting the way. You say in here, making it nice is not just about the outside stuff. It's about making it through. It's about getting knocked down and getting up again. And Dorinda Medley, you have done that a million times over.
Well, that was wonderful. I don't even feel like doing my next one at 4:00. I just want to go. Now I just want to go get another olive jar. So
Dorinda, I literally have to let you go in this very minute because the
Yeah.
Zoom's going to end after an hour and I know you have another one. I love you. You're
I
amazing.
love you too. I can't wait to see you soon.
I know. I'm coming to the
It's going to happen. You will come. Bye.
No, everyone, that was Dorinda. Dorinda! What am I doing here without Dorinda? Well, I'm not doing as well as I could be if she was with me. I adore her. Dorinda Medley, thank you for your time. Go get her book, Make It Nice. And now we are wrapping up episode 2 of Chic Shit Only. I love this chance to talk to you all again. And so, you guys, I want to hear from you, babes. I'm going to post some polls on my Instagram asking for questions that you have. I would love to answer them for you, like to chit chat back with each other, to give you some advice if you'd like it. And I also would really appreciate if you would like, follow, subscribe, and rate the podcast because it makes all the difference in the world. I love you so much. Thank you so much. Talk to you soon. Bye.